everybody, to the All Bullshit Aside podcast with Mr. Barry 18. This is my co-host, Edie.
Hi, everyone.
And today we have a special guest. This is my son, David Jr.
Hola.
So this is episode 5. And today, my son's made himself available to speak about his side of growing up in a marriage with a step-parent. And I hope a lot of you can relate to that. You know?
All right. Well, let's get started. So David Jr., let's go ahead and take it all the way back to the beginning. As far as when you were 4 years old, you had a huge loss there, the loss of a parent, loss of your mom, Angie. And I think we probably should start there as far as how that affected you as a child, if you want to speak a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I was 4 years old when that incident happened. But, being a kid at that young age, I didn't really understand what was going on. I do remember certain things and, kind of just questioning, like, why is this changing now? Where's my mom? And, what's going on? But, being a kid, I'm just like, well, I'm just going to go play outside. So nothing really registered to me at a young age about the severity of the situation. So just kind of hard to understand as a kid exactly what was going on.
So as for a 5-year-old, obviously, you probably didn't really, like you said, you didn't feel, any different. But when did you start feeling the loss?
Honestly, not until I got a little bit older, like around in my teen years is when I actually like, oh crap, like this is how it is now. Like she's gone. Just that's when I started realizing what was really happening. And that's when I kind of just started coping in different ways from the loss.
Well, by then in high school, your dad had already moved on. It was about a year, I think, after.
Yeah, I moved on pretty quick. I guess as a parent going through the loss, I, met somebody and I kind of felt like I needed that right away. So I didn't, really get to know this person. I didn't really mourn his mom that long, And for me at that time, I was 25. I felt like, oh, this is normal. So, I jumped into another relationship, which is something that you're not supposed to do. I never healed from that. It took me a long time to heal. So it didn't help that I just jumped in, and not even
Like
more, process
more,
everything, And for me, a part of that was because he was small. And also a lot of people know I had a stepdaughter. And, I felt like I needed to bring someone into their life to kind of help out a little bit. But it was like, I never thought about the effects of if this person right for them. Is she, going to be a great mother figure or whatnot? So, and he was okay with it. He was small. He was okay with it. It seemed like it, but my stepdaughter was not. She wasn't accepting it.
Oh, wow. Well, again, with her not being here, I'm sure she had to, deal with the loss and was probably not ready for that, obviously.
Yeah.
But during that time, when you did get with your ex-wife, you got married, you guys moved in, and then again, instant stepmom, grade school, high school. Do you want to go ahead and go over, what you experienced as far as living with, your stepmom, processing the loss of your mom, just the whole childhood? Do you have things that you would like to share?
Yeah. So definitely initially when, she first came into the picture, I was, obviously excited because like, hey, I don't have my mom, but now this person I think is my mom, she's here now. So everything was okay. And as I was growing up, I wasn't really, not saying I wasn't with my dad and him, but I was surrounded by a lot of family that were trying to help me with me and my stepsister with the process is that, we were always at somebody's family's house. We were always being taken care of. So I wasn't really directly, I guess, parented by her initially. Not saying like I was abandoned. I was just because there was a lot of people that were
helping.
Yeah, just trying to help me and my stepsister or my sister, just kind of cope with it. But it wasn't until, my kind of, I guess, turmoil kind of started between my sister and her, where my sister wanted to, be with her biological father.
Right.
So when that happened, I was like somebody that I was with through a very tough time, and who I loved. It was like my sister. Obviously my sister. I love her. We grew up. We were inseparable. Now she's gone, and now it's just me. So that definitely took a toll, because it's like,
it was like loss number two.
Yeah,
you know,
it was
I was
us,
like another person leaving you. Yeah.
So when that happened, that's when I started, when I was obviously getting bigger, and I kind of had this we had this routine now where it's like, okay, well, now you live with us. And because for a time I lived with my grandma, because he was freshly new into this relationship, and he was trying to get his life started, and it's kind of hard to do that when you already have a kid. So I was living with my grandma for a time.
Where were you living, with her?
No, when I just got married, we were still living in my old place. Then I sold it. Then we got a small studio. So obviously he couldn't fit there. And it was, this was weird. This came from my mom. My mom was the one that suggested this, that she would take him for a little bit, just so I can kind of, enjoy this new marriage a little bit. And then I would bring him like every other weekend, or almost on the weekends with me, and, just take him out, buy him stuff. And then we were only there for, I think 2 years, and then we bought a house. So then he moved into the house. My daughter was just born into this house, so we were like a little family now. But he was already, how old were you? I think you were,
I want to say like around 8 years old.
Did you feel during those 2 years abandoned by your dad?
No. Because like I said, I lost my mom, but my grandma has always, she's my mom. Right. I consider my my grandma my mom, because she raised me, she took care of me. She even till this very day, she'll still text me, good night, I love you. So it's like she's always been my mom. And every time I refer to her, like, that's I don't call her grandma. I don't say, hey, grandma. I say, hey, mom. So I never felt abandoned. I in a way, I understood. I'm like, okay, well, he's doing this thing, but I had my grandma, and then her daughter, my aunt, which we were relatively around the same age. Okay. She was a couple years older than me, so she was like another sister. So I never felt abandoned by him.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Just going over. So as far as the 2 years, then your daughter was born, or?
Yeah, my daughter was born, I think 2 years after we got married. Yeah, we waited 2 years. She got pregnant. We got married. Yeah. So that, like I said, we got this house, and he moved in with me. My daughter was born into this house. We were there for like 2 years. But that's when I started seeing the what I saw, with my eyes, just him kind of acting up, little things here and there. And that, and they told me when he was small, he was getting therapy. He probably doesn't remember that, but they told me right now he can't process this. He just thinks she's asleep somewhere and she's not here. But when he gets older is when you have to worry about it. And, I saw it happen. And I mean, as a dad, I always felt like any kid always needs their mom. And I felt like, well, I can't, how am I a mom? How can I be a mom? I don't know how. Right. So my mom would always step in. My mom's solution was like, let me have him for a couple of days, or let me this, let me that, let me tell him. For me, I was very like, do this, do that, just not really caring about why he was acting up. Just like, I was just looking at, this is what happened in school. Why did you do that? And it was, whatever. And then the punishment, or I spank him or whatever, Right. But I never ever looked at why it was happening. Where was it coming from? Now as an adult, older adult, and him, and finally looking back at everything, it's like, man, I never took the time to be. For a long time, I thought I was just not a good dad. So
you did the best, obviously. That's why we're here. You want to share your story, speak your truth, and that's all what this podcast is, and we definitely want to go over, this part of it. The one thing that I don't want to forget, and I want you to process what you're processing, of course, but when you say your mom stepped in the role of being the mom, do you feel your ex-wife was not given the whole opportunity to be a better parent to him, or do you feel that she was a good stepmom to you, or was she kind of had it where she didn't have to do so much because your grandma, your mom did it for her? Have you ever thought about that?
I did. So I kind of like, as I got older, I kind of reflected back on like, man, like why did all this happen? Like what's going on? And it kind of helped. Like it kind of fell into later on in life when I seek therapy. But I just felt like I was never welcomed by her. I was kind of like just in the way. In a way, like I just felt like I wasn't welcome.
Well, that's why I'm asking kind of what you both are saying, that your mom, took the role of as the grandma, but the mom. And I, again, I'm just listening to your stories as far as, do you feel like she wasn't given the opportunity at the beginning, or did she not want it?
No, you know what? Like I look back now and I see everything the same thing he said. I started reflecting,
Yeah.
and looking back, and I felt like I never really listened to him. I felt like I would come home, Junior, this and that, and then right away, hey man, blah, 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 whatever, discipline. And now I look back and I'm like, maybe it wasn't really him. Maybe it was just her. And you know what? Like you said, like you were in the way. And I know that this isn't gonna come out, and I haven't talked about this, but my mom not that long ago confided in me and said that there was a time where she went to him. My ex-wife, told my mom that she would give her money to keep him,
Oh, wow.
like because he was getting some Social Security money, so she told my mom, if you want, just keep him. So now I look back and I think she never wanted him. It all changed when my daughter was born. My daughter came into a picture, and of course, that's our only kid. It's like, so so I can understand my ex-wife's, like, this is mine. That's not mine. And I understand that as a step parent, any step parent in any relationship, they're gonna if they're gonna date somebody and you're gonna accept their kids, okay. But at the same time, I understand that you can't love them as yours. You can kind of show them some kind of guidance or some kind of love. But I understand that part. And now I look back now, and a lot of our arguments were because of him. Because not because he was being bad.
I was an angel of a child.
But because I look back and now I think, shit, she just didn't like him. She didn't like him, and as time goes on, I hear stuff. I found out other things that, even her mom told her was not your kid. You don't have to love. You're right. It's not your kid. You don't have to love him like it's yours, but at least show him some kind of love.
Yeah.
So I did see times where it just felt like, man, every time I come home, it's like, okay, I get it. You're a kid, you have chores. Junior's thing, he remembers, throw out the trash, keep your room clean, because he had his own bathroom, he had his own everything. Yeah. Keep your side cool, that's it. I used to take him working with me so he wouldn't be home all day. I took him a lot because I felt like I didn't want her and him to clash all the time because he was getting bigger. But at the same time, I wanted to show him some kind of structure. Look, this is what it is to go out in the world and work. And, and I wish I could have done more for him, but I think I did the most I could. Okay. But yeah, a lot of our fights were because I was not babying him, but I don't know. I felt like I used to argue with my ex-wife about, I feel like I owe him because he don't have his mom. So I feel like there's that void. Like, how do I fill that void? And like, I can't just be on him all the time. Like, just like, I feel like he's going through it still, but we never really talked about it. We never really did. I mean,
did you feel when you were with her that you felt she didn't love him completely? Like,
the first time that I felt, and it was already, the end, like getting to the end of the marriage. The first time I felt like she didn't love him was when he came back from the military and she kicked us out because me and her were going through our own issues. I had to go out. She wanted me to go out and get anger management. She wanted me to go and get, some kind of therapy and that. And I was like, well, why don't we get marriage counseling together? There's nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with, a narcissist is always going to, like, there's nothing wrong with them. But I left and I got very upset because she told him to leave. And I'm like, why? He's not in your way. He has his own room. At that time, he had 2 jobs there in Simi Valley. And it was easy for him to stay there and, work those 2 jobs. Well, now you're telling us to leave. You're telling him to leave. And now we have to move to another city and you're making it hard for him. Leave him there. No, I think he should be with his dad. Now I'm like, bullshit. you never wanted him. How was he in your way? And, he just got here from fucking, Afghanistan. He's out there fighting, for freedom.
And she didn't want him there.
She wasn't understanding to a situation. Like, how do you tell somebody that's here 2 weeks, get a job? It's like, that bothered me. But, it's like you're married and you're like, happy wife, happy life, happy wife, happy life. So my now when I look back, I'm like, I catered to her too much. I always took her side. I took her family side. I always neglected my family. I neglected my kids.
Do you agree?
I wouldn't say neglect, but like I said, it's one thing to neglect a child and be like, well, we're gonna go do this, that, and the other, and you just stay here. Which is kind of sometimes it happened because it was they would go out and they would go hang out, and I would just kind of stay home and
by choice, or they're like, we're going by, see you later.
Yeah, kind of, and not I don't want to make him seem like a dirtbag or anything, but he did, like, they would go out and hang out with their friends, and I would kind of just stay home and like do chores and because I was at the age I could just take care of myself, and I was just like, I'll stay home, play video games, or but it just felt like for a while growing up it was just them three, and then I was just kind of there. I was kind of just there to clean the house. And like I said, it was like, I don't blame him for any of it, because it's growing up, he especially I'm gonna be a father myself.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I feel like he did a good job for what he was able to, like, for what he had. I grew up clean. I had no criminal record. I stayed out of trouble. I work hard. I know that I know the value of hard work because of him. And so it's like, I don't really blame him for, yeah, maybe it would have been cool to go hang out with people or go here, go there. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, all right, well, I mean, if you were to look in life and say all like the good and bad, I mean, it's just, you just drive yourself crazy just wondering what if.
Do you feel that now that you're older, you've forgave him and maybe you're a little bit more lenient than at that time? Because I know people tend to go into like addiction. Video games could be an addiction.
Yeah.
So I know, because I have a couple people who do that and they just want to be in a whole different world. Do you feel like you were trying to cope with it as well as like, being in, the video world and at that age? And then now that you're older, do you feel like,
well, like, in a way, yeah. I just kind of like, I growing up, and like that's when, I guess, I don't know, technology was really booming.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you know what? I'd rather just stay home, play video games. I don't really want to go out, like, but there was times where I'm just like, man, I'm just, I felt like in a way, I felt like a prisoner, and she was the warden, and I was like, and as I got older and I started, like I said, analyzing things, I'm like, wow, I can't believe, like, I would just be in, like, when we moved to Bakersfield, and
I think that's where it was the worst.
Bakersfield?
Because I was gone all day. Like, I literally would leave 6 a.m. and come back 8, 9 o'clock at night. So I spent my whole day working out here in LA, and then getting food out here. Everything was out here. I was driving back, and he didn't throw out the trash. He didn't this, he didn't that. I'm like, come on, right away. It's like, I don't want to deal with this right now. But I just, now that the divorce, everything's done, I've sat back and looked back at all the times, and a lot of it was just her not liking him. One thing that I just came back to me was when we took a family picture. She excluded him from that picture, and I said, why?
Wow.
Well, it's just, I just want, this is another thing. I just want us, and we'll do something with him, but I just want something for me, you, and Bianca. And I was like, okay. So me being fucking stupid, not even understanding, it was her excluding him always.
Did you guys ever take a family picture?
We only took one family picture in our whole 20-year marriage, and it was just me, her, and my daughter. That's it. Everything was my daughter. But I always had to, I know that I took her side a lot, and now I know I was wrong. But it's like, me and him, it was like walking on eggshells 24/7.
Wow.
Hey man, don't do this, don't do that, because I don't want to hear it. Or, but my daughter was just, she could do no wrong.
Right.
My daughter's a good kid, and I get it. She's going to be more lenient with my daughter. But you know, the things that stand out, like when you would say, well, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. Okay, I get it. But, you know, he just came from fighting a fucking war. Give him a chance. He's not lazy. He's trying. So that's when I think he just kind of got fed up with it. And an opportunity came in North Carolina with my, you know, where his daughter. Daughter, sorry, mama. It was his sister. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he took it and he's never looked back. And now he's in a great place. He has his own house. He's getting married. Well, he's married already, you know, through
The court,
the
yeah.
court, having a baby. Now I'm looking at him. I'm like, wow. And I don't want to sit back and be like, that was me. No, because it wasn't on me. Maybe a little part of it, but I think a lot of it was his. It's, you know, him just doing what he had to do, and I would hope that everything
he's a version of Angie in you.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I think he can look at what happened to me, and you know, because I'm, you know, me, I don't give a shit. I always say, yeah, I did this, did that wrong. That's one thing that I'm always gonna, you know, I'm always gonna be an open book. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I'm not embarrassed about getting therapy. I'm not embarrassed about this, but I just felt like it was always me, and the other person was just.
Right.
You know, nothing. There was no fault. He did no wrong. So that's now looking back, that's my biggest regret, was not knowing that she mistreated him when he was young. I think I would have, you know, and a lot of people tell me, no, you wouldn't have. No, I think if I would have seen something really bad, I think if my mom would have told me at that moment, she's offering me the Social Security money to keep him. At that moment, I think I would have been like, I'm done. I'm gone. There's no way. You're giving away my son?
Man, your mom could write a book.
Oh, you know, trust me. We're going to get my mom in here one day. My mom.
I hope you guys have enough battery life in the camera.
Yeah. And if you have coffee in here when she's here, forget about it. It's going to be. But yeah, it's if anybody in this world has been there for us, it's like what holds us together is my mom.
So as far as your mom, I know you're talking about your mom, you know, helping, and she still helps.
Yeah, still
she's definitely
Tuesday.
to be a grandma. So I'm sure she's excited for. I mean, she's already a grandma, but
great grandma.
Great grandma. Yeah. There you go. I wanted to also to speak a little bit, and I mean, we can have another you know, session about it. But your daughter, as far as the relationship that you two have
with
your daughter, Bianca.
Yeah.
So. How's that relationship?
It's good now, but definitely growing up, it was awful. You know, it was just one of those things. Well, to kind of backtrack, you know, obviously being a girl, me being a boy, you know, obviously, like, you know, it's my little sister. I'm gonna do whatever I can to protect her. But I guess there were some issues that happened with my stepmother, with her being inappropriately touched as a young child. So she was very, like, you know, weary of who was around her or around her daughter. So, you know, it got to the point where, you know, every time, you know, I'd be in my room and, you know, my sister would come in and, hey, how you hear, hey, Bianca, come here. Yeah, come over. And then it got to the point where, you know, if me and her were like just joking, she never wanted us together. And another one that kind of really stuck with me was where she blatantly just in front of me would ask her, did he touch you in the wrong way?
Oh my gosh.
In front of me. And I'm like, so that was like, it got to the point where, like, man, every time I'm around my sister, I always get in trouble. So at that point, I'm like, I would just tell her, leave me alone, get away from me. I don't want to be with you. Because every time it's like, I get in trouble. Or like, you know, you do something like, you know, if you ask a little girl in front of like her brother, you know, hey, did he touch you anywhere? That's like, you know, that sticks with it. You know, that sticks with you.
Yeah.
So definitely, you know, our relationship, I would avoid her. I would avoid her at all costs because I knew that if she was with me too long or something, I would get in trouble for whatever it was. So, you know, definitely kind of put a strain on our relationship.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Not allowing her to spend the nights with my family, at my dad's house with my mom. She can go, but if so-and-so's there, I'm like, what are you talking about? That, like, what's wrong with you? So I think it's kind of crazy how she was always very overprotective of my family, but some of her family she really wasn't. And you know, towards the end when she was out already, well, in the end when she was out, met this new guy or whatever, she was okay with letting my daughter sleep around in other houses because she wanted to go have fun. So where's that? Where's that? You try to, you like you were just you're all of a sudden you're not a mom. You don't care anymore. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like that was where I started thinking it was just against my kid. It was against my family. Like you're gonna actually think that my family would do that, and I get it. I think the world of my family, but if of course things happen. I had my uncle, my dad's brother.
Right.
He's the one that sexually, was inappropriate with me. So I get it, and that was somebody that I loved. That was like my favorite uncle.
Yeah.
So it was harder for me to speak
Yeah.
about it because it was like I can't talk about my uncle like that. It's gonna look bad. My dad's gonna get mad. And I got to a point where I didn't give a shit. Then all those old, I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care if speaking my truth hurts people or if I'm gonna lose friendships or I'm gonna lose it doesn't matter to me anymore. I'm at that
Yeah.
point in my life where now I'm like my peace is very important. And if you're interrupting my peace, I don't need you in my life. You could go. Recently I had to get rid of a friend
See you
because
later.
of the same thing.
Just
It's like,
kidding.
you're interrupting my peace. You're over here being hateful and stuff and being, whatever. And it's like, I don't need you. I don't need you.
We definitely want to make sure that, what you've learned and what you've learned,
Yeah.
obviously, moving forward in your current relationship, and your friendships, who you want around and what makes you happy and who makes you happy. And it doesn't
Exactly.
matter what anybody's opinions
Yeah.
are. And as far as you, David, is there anything else that you wanted to go over? I mean, the main thing is I want to make sure that you get to, speak your truth as far as being there with a stepmom that sounds like she didn't really have or show the love. And again, I don't know her, not taking sides, but she may have not have been shown her love as well. But again, as far as being the parent, as me being a parent in my own personal experience, you are the adult. And again, like you said at the beginning of loving step kids, when you get into a relationship, those are your kids, no matter what. And if somebody has the issues when they don't love that person, then they have their issues, and I think that's what's helping you too, knowing that she has the problem, and now you're older and you're now in a marriage and you're going to have your kids and you're going to now know, how to, love your children the way that you want it to be.
Yeah. Definitely just, it's kind of one of those things where it's like how he told me, man, I always want you to have what I didn't. So I kind of want to, just break that cycle of, being, it's, oh no, you can't ask for help. You got to just deal with it as a man. No, it's just not how it is anymore. And that's why we have, people the way they come out, because it's just, we're taught from a young age. It's like when you fall up, you get up, you don't cry, you don't hurt, especially being a man. It's like, and being like in the Hispanic community, it's like we don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about our feelings. We work, and that's it. That's all we do. So definitely, it's okay, to be sad. Just don't be sad, if that makes sense. Like, it's okay to be sad about something, but don't let that consume you, because then you'll never grow as a person. So, definitely if there's, something that bothers you, obviously I seek therapy because I was at a point in my life where I felt like, this was it, I'm done. But then, I, went to go talk to somebody, and just talking, not even doing anything else was, I was able to help. And, if you're going to take the responsibility of being with somebody with a kid, if it's not working, just rip that Band-Aid off and just, call it quits. Cause, just to waste 20 years is, what's the point? We get one life to live. And if you're just going to spend it like that, is, what's the point?
Right.
Yeah. I think it's, definitely it was eye opening, right? Cause it was like, you couldn't wait for my son to be 18 so he could get that out. But yeah, my daughter was okay for, you know what I mean? And I get it, she's a female. But it was like no help. It was like, no, you do it all on your own. And if I try to help, no, he's got to do it on his own. But, when my daughter, it was like, she just wanted to take everything I had. No, she needs. Like, no, it's not going to be like that. I'm going to put my foot down. And then everything stopped. My daughter, obviously, she's doing a lot better now. She's, more mature than most kids out here her age. So I think I can look back and say, okay, my kids are doing good. I think I did a good job. If God bless me with another one, that's the one that's going to be,
Well, you got a grandson or
Yeah.
grandson coming.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Well, thank you so much, David Jr., for
Thank you for having
being
me.
our first guest.
Thank you.
And we're going to do another session, another topic with having him with us as well. But is there anything you want to end the podcast today? So usually your dad does. So you want to look at the camera and
Just like and subscribe.
thanks.
Don't judge. Hey, grown men can cry. It's fine. You know, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. If, you know, you think you need help, go get it. That's it. See you next time.
All right. Thank you.